What's up, board fam? Eric here. As you see on the screen, we're going to be watching a JesterBell video. This was a channel member suggested video. We're going to start doing this once a month very quickly before we get into this reaction. On the community tab, once a month, I'm going to post a members only post where I'm going to ask you guys to give me videos that you want me to watch. Because a lot of people say, hey, we want you to watch videos. We want to suggest stuff. You can do it there in channel members. And if you're on the Discord, you can also do it there. There is a section to drop content in there that you want me to take a look at. But anyway, let's get into this video from JesterBell. It is Marvel trashes old fans trying to find new ones again. Trashes old fans. You mean people who are no longer fans? Okay.
A man once said, "Comics will break your heart, kid." And I don't think that truer words have ever been spoken. Being a comic book fan is truly not a rewarding experience at all. And I'm definitely facing that when it comes to everything that Marvel is doing with its X-Men cast. Now, I've already done 50,000 videos about the assassination of Jean Grey in Spider-Man Brand New Day, just how bad her actions were in that movie, and that the directors did.
Well, she was the villain, right? Like, I've talked about this before. I don't necessarily like the way Jean Grey was portrayed in Spider-Man Brand New Day either, but she was the villain of the movie. So my issue with that is that she was the villain. Like, I don't think anybody's disputing that her actions were bad. That was the point, quite literally. So she did what she was supposed to be doing in the movie.
Didn't seem to realize it. Now, before all of you bring out with your defenses again, and there's been a lot of argumentation about that this week, confirmation right now that, you know, Marvel seeing these evil characters as just morally gray and ambiguous, and in fact justified in their actions, is entirely true. Sadie Sink has finally done an interview where she explained their intentions with the character of Jean Grey, saying that she had no idea who this character even was before coming on board. And look, I don't blame her for that. Jean Grey isn't as well known to regular people as...
You don't blame her for it? I distinctly remember their videos where you're attacking actors for not knowing the source material. I feel like if I went back on my channel, I could find it. I can't think of exactly which one on the top of my head, but I do remember at least one video with you getting upset that the actor didn't know the source material. But we'll let that go, because I can't remember the exact example right now, but I do know it exists out there.
Other superheroes are. But she said that, you know, in terms of getting into the character, she said that she believed her version of Jean Grey was entirely justified in her actions in the movie. You know, what with trying to drive a tank through a bus full of innocent people, mind raping people, assaulting MJ, dropping her off a building, whatnot, so on and so forth. But this is what Sadie Sink had to say about Jean Grey's actions in the film. She said that given...
I want to pause here for a second. It says Marvel trashes old fans to try and find new ones again. Like, where is Marvel doing this?
And this has really taken down the Spider-Man movie for me. This massive character assassination and seeing the rot within the brains of these people behind the scenes. Like, Destin Daniel Craig has been saying that actually doing this with Jean Grey was his idea.
Destin Daniel Craig? Wait, did you say Destin Daniel Craig?
And seeing the rot within the brains of these people behind the scenes. Like, Destin Daniel Craig has been...
Who is Destin Daniel Craig? I quite literally thought that I was losing my mind. I was like, wait, Destin Daniel Craig? I had to click and make sure. No, it's Destin Daniel Creighton. You quite literally can't even get the director's name right. Holy fuck.
Saying that actually doing this with Jean Grey was his idea. He came up with this idea for a teenage telepath that would have this backstory, and that he personally requested Jean Grey. Now, I don't know if that's entirely true. They keep emphasizing that it was not mandated. I think that Kevin Feige would have a lot more say in what one of his own characters is going to be. Either way, though, it's a bad look. Either Kevin Feige wants to do this with Jean Grey, or he just didn't care and let Destin Daniel Craig enact his master...
You got his name wrong twice, which means it wasn't a misspeaking of his name. You just don't know what his name is. Also, we're 4 minutes in the video. I had to cut some of it out because it's just her subjective opinion about Jean Grey. I'm trying to get to the point of the video, you guys. I really am. But she's taking a long time to get there.
Character assassination to turn her into this. But It's rather horrifying reading these interviews because it shows how out of touch they are, and they literally do not realize how evil they made her character, how evil they made her come across, and how a large section of the audience is.
I mean, as I've said in my opinions on this, we don't know what they're going to do with Jean Grey. Like, you don't have to like what they did in the movie. That's a fair criticism. You can even talk about things that they could have done to make it better. Like, you can have conversations about that, but you can only judge the movie based on what they did in the movie. What she was doing in the movie was the intent. So that means they have a plan for where they're taking her next. We don't have to like it, but they know what they're doing with her.
Reacting to this version of the character, and it's absolutely devastating for X-Men fans to see how this movie is coming together. But as we get into the casting of this movie, I want to make the point here that this is going further. What they're doing with the X-Men here in Marvel is they're doing more of the same at Disney, and that is becoming very, very clear, where they are throwing out the old fan base that once loved these characters in favor of trying to seek out a new fan base. And that's where all of these changes to the characters come.
Well, are you more concerned about the changes to Jean Grey or the fact that they're looking for new fans? Businesses, I've said this so many times, you can always tell when someone doesn't have a fucking clue how to run a business based on things they say here on YouTube when they're talking about this stuff. Businesses cannot survive and grow by only catering to a very niche audience of customers. It doesn't work for things like movies, doesn't work for things like TV shows. Over time, you're going to shed people and you're going to be left with a very tiny amount. They have to pick up new fans because that's how you keep franchises going. You keep them alive. Otherwise, they get stale and people stop supporting them. We see this out there. There's a lot of franchises that we've tried to bring back and people just don't care about them.
Let's go further with that. We got new casting information where Kit Connor is going to play Cyclops. Now, this got a mixed reaction as I saw it online. I saw a lot of praise for it and a lot of dissent for it. Let me tell you my opinion. No, this guy is not right for Cyclops at all. And it's astounding to me that people were so against Cooper Hoffman playing the character when really Kit Connor is just a more in shape version of him that actually looks younger.
So it's just about physicality. There's a video, I haven't put it up yet, but there's a video that I react to of her talking about Ariana Grande and her body and stuff. JesterBell is, just like with so many of these people we watch, contributes to the toxic environment about beauty standards in media. And I'm saying that very confident. You can click on almost any of her video where she's talking about a casting or an actor or an actress or whatever. She's going to talk about how attractive they are or how unattractive they are, how in shape they are, or how out of shape they are. She's going to do those kinds of things, and it's disgusting.
Kit Connor is like red-haired, round-faced. He's not Cyclops at all. And there was an actor, I'm blanking on his name. I'll throw it up on the screen. An actor who asked to play Cyclops I have never heard of in my life. He actually looked like Cyclops. And it's like, wow. Actors...
But is he a good actor? I would, 9 out of 10 times, maybe even 10 out of 10 times, but we'll say 10 out of 10 times, I would much rather have someone that can do the job well than someone that just looks like the character from whatever version of that character I like the most. There's been so many artists that have drawn Cyclops over the years. There's been so many cartoons with different versions of Cyclops. There's been at least 1 or 2 live action versions of Cyclops, if you count like what ages they are, things like that. Like, we've seen this over the years. They're never going to make everybody happy with the physicality of the way someone looks in a role. Sometimes stars align and the casting and the acting and the person work together. They look just like the character. They're a great actor, and it all just works like magic. That doesn't happen all the time. It's a very difficult thing to do in casting.
Out there that actually look like the character exist. Like they could have gone out and found someone who looks like Cyclops if they wanted to, but like all of these actors that they're getting for the X-Men so far look like they're 12.
All of these actors. So you have Sadie Sink and you have Kit Connor. Both of them are in their 20s.
and they don't actually evoke the characters at all. And
you don't know because you haven't seen Kit in the role, and Sadie Sink played a version of Jean Grey you didn't like. So
interesting how Grace Randolph is a huge X-Men fan, and her heart was absolutely breaking on a stream yesterday where she all but wanted to say that she hates everything that they're doing with these characters.
Okay. Are you a Grace Randolph fan now?
And like she was just holding back from that, and she outright said she wants them to recast Sadie Sink because she dislikes that version of the character so much. And I will agree with that, but I'll explain that in a minute. So first of all,
please don't. I don't want to hear any more about your Jean Grey stuff. I'm going to cut it out, guys. I don't care about your subjective rants about Jean Grey. I have made my own rants about it. I've heard other people talk about it. I'm over that conversation now. I'm over it. I talk about something else X-Men related, and you can talk about Jean Grey as part of that foundation, but continuously going on and on about her in Brand New Day, it's not doing much for me anymore.
Connor, I'm just going to quote my sister. It looks like they're casting teeny bopper Disney X-Men here. Like he does.
Well, because they're not going to cast like people's grandfathers. Like, let's be clear. They're in their 20s. Where do you want them to start casting? In the 40s? Late 30s? They're trying to set up a franchise to go for like 20 years. So they're casting younger actors that they can get locked in for at least a couple of decades. Because they don't want to fuck this up. Now, again, you can make an argument that you don't like the direction of the characters. That's fine. But in terms of their ages, they're going for a younger cast on purpose.
Doesn't look a thing like the character. Cyclops is not round-faced with red hair, even in his younger days. And like this actor is best known from his role in the gay romance show Heartstopper, and there's nothing about him again that evokes Cyclops. And I'm hearing not so great things about his acting, that he isn't maybe the best actor. And
no, he's great on Heartstoppers, but if you haven't seen it, holy fuck, you haven't seen him acting. So here we go. This is the shit I'm talking about. You haven't seen him in anything. So you're basing your opinion on him solely on the way his face looks. Holy shit.
That he hasn't shown any sign that he can actually play this character. But hey, he's wearing red shades in that one picture. That really annoys me about like MCU fans. They will find one superficial trait about an actor that relates.
Holy fuck. You are doing the same thing right now. You have a superficial trait about him that you don't like because you haven't seen him acting in anything. So you don't know if he's capable of doing the job, and you keep referencing his round face. You are quite literally doing that right now. The thing that you say you hate about MCU fans. You are participating in it right this second.
To a character and then declare that he is perfect for that character.
But you said he's not, like, because of how he looks.
Hoffman, they were painting red shades on him and saying, oh yeah, that's my Cyclops. It drives me nuts. This man, Kit Connor, he's not Cyclops. He's gonna be Cyclops in name only, just like Sadie Sink was Jean Grey in name only.
Well, because neither one of them are really that person. They're fictional characters. I don't know if you knew that or not.
And as people, some people out there are saying, like, this Kit Connor does not evoke the character at all. Like, Sadie Sink does not evoke Jean Grey either. Like, I think a lot of people are maybe overlooking it because all of the focus is how the character was written, how she was asked to portray this character, and turning her into a psycho murder hobo. But then I've heard a lot of people say, well, Sadie Sink is a fine cast. It's just what she was asked to do with her. But no, guys, no. Sadie Sink was never good casting as Jean Grey. Sadie Sink, in everything I've ever seen her in, just plays Sadie Sink. She just plays like the generic teenage girl. She never brings anything else to her role.
So is she Sadie Sink or generic teenage girl? Those are two different things.
And Sadie Sink is not Jean Grey. And that's the whole thing
No,
here.
she's
I'm like,
not.
Can you name me one thing,
Jean
name
Grey
me one
Jean Grey is
element
a different
in terms
person
of
who
the
is fictional.
personality that she brings to this character that evokes Jean Grey at all, without mentioning physical looks at all. I don't think anyone can.
Well, you just quite literally said that someone can't be Cyclops because of how they look without ever seeing them act in anything. So that's your standard. Meaning that if I want to say she's Jean Grey because she looks like Jean Grey, then that applies for me, even without taking her acting into account, because you're doing the same thing. Fuck.
And there is not one trait that Sadie Sink brings to Jean Grey, even if she wasn't playing her as a psycho murder hobo, that would relate to the Jean Grey of the comics. People are entirely going on the fact that she's Caucasian with red hair. And I gotta tell you, just because you're Caucasian with red hair does not mean that you look like Jean Grey.
Are you fucking kidding me? You quite literally in this video had an entire segment on how people can't play Cyclops because they don't look like him, disregarding all of their acting. You even said there was someone who you don't know who they are, you've only seen a picture of them, and you thought they would be perfect for Cyclops. But now that standard is completely thrown out the window when somebody says they like Sadie Sink because she looks like Jean Grey. That's where we are.
Either. And it's like, this is how superficial fan casting can get. Like, Sadie Sink was fan cast as Mary Jane Watson and Rachel Summers and Jean Grey. And it's like, it's because all that fans think of is, oh, you got red hair, you're Caucasian, oh, then you can be all these other red hair Caucasian characters. Never mind what kind of personality.
The complete disconnect for her, like the mental, like, I don't know, is it a block or something? Sis is sitting here, but like going after people for physically casting actors in roles, going, well, they have red hair, so they could be MJ, they could be Jean Grey, when she quite literally did the, like, am I losing my mind? Am I losing my mind? Am I being punked right now? The first half of this video, you quite literally did the same thing, JesterBell. What the fuck?
This actor is going to bring to the character. Same with Cyclops. All they need to do is see red shades on an actor and they declare he can be Cyclops. No. Now, once again, this is awful casting. Kaylee Spaney as Rogue is awful casting. I don't care if she's from the South. She neither looks like the character. Given the roles that she's played, I would guess that they're going with a more like Anna Paquin-esque type Rogue again, with Kaylee Spaney as Rogue, who is the rumored casting. Like, none of this casting is good. And it unfortunately reminds me of what happened with the recent disaster of the Fantastic Four movie. A movie that Kevin Feige himself admitted recently bombed at the box office. He
didn't say it bombed at the box office. You guys are real crazy about this. He didn't say that. Like, the word bomb and failure never came out of his mouth.
He admitted that his new, completely different direction with the characters failed.
He didn't say that.
With Fantastic Four, it was similar, where MCU fans will glaze and chill for anything, as long as...
And anti-MCU haters, won't say fans, anti-MCU haters will do what you're doing right now.
Actor has even one or two physical traits that resembles a character, but guess what? Joseph Quinn, not good casting for Johnny Storm. He was not attractive enough to play the character, neither did he have any of that devil-may-care hot rod energy. Vanessa...
So he wasn't attractive. Fam. She can't even keep her own standards together. So he was bad because he wasn't attractive like Johnny Storm. Again, phenotypically critiquing these characters. Something that you just said you hated when people do it. And you're doing it right now. I don't know if you know this or not, but attacking someone for not looking like the character, doing that is the same behavior as liking someone just because they look like a character. You are judging them on the same criteria. Crazy, I know. Crazy, but it's the same criteria.
Kirby, incredibly meh as an actress, and incredibly meh in her look as Sue Storm. Evan Michael Ross, I don't know what he was doing. He just wasn't the thing at all, and neither was Pedro Pascal as Reed. Like, the thing about Marvel is, even at their worst, they used to just get casting right all the time. Like Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, that was a gold mine that they found. And they used to be very consistent, like Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa, incredibly consistent about finding good actors for their roles. Now, something that happened is,
I love when people go Chadwick Boseman. I find this a lot in this space. They'll just concede on Chadwick because Chadwick is no longer with us. Right? They'll concede on that because they never have to see him again. It's that weird outlier. Like, they won't mention anybody else associated with Black Panther, even though we've had some incredible actors associated with the Black Panther franchise. They just say Chadwick Boseman. It's creepy and it's gross.
They had more bombs, and so that meant that they weren't able to attract the A-listers anymore as much as they had in the past.
Quite literally, Pedro Pascal is considered an A-lister. I don't know if you know that or not. You wouldn't admit it because you don't like Pedro. But by Hollywood standards, he is considered an A-list actor. Just so you know.
But, in the past, they used to just find actors. They used to do...
Oh, by the way, they also got Ryan Gosling as Ghost Rider. So if you don't want to talk about Pedro being an A-lister, Ryan Gosling as Ghost Rider is an A-list actor.
And casting calls and just find from there. But lately, it's like they're going to, like, B and C list celebrities.
So the X-Men is going to be a big, like, ensemble movie. So they're not going to be able to throw a lot of money around for the bigger actors. So they're going to cast for a lot of the roles that we have with relatively unknown actors or new in the industry actors. People they can get locked into a contract for a lower amount. It's scummy, but that's what they're going to do because they need to bring the cost of these movies down. Something that you have asked for. You and your community have asked for them to bring the production cost of the movies down so they have a better opportunity at the box office. They can't do that by casting all A-list actors. You're asking for two things they can't do that. It doesn't work together.
Who are kind of known, but they're not movie stars at all, and shoving them into these movies. They're really, really favoring the streaming actors. And some of that is budget, once again.
Yes.
That they can't afford to get any of the big heavy hitters anymore.
I love the way you're framing that. Can't afford to get them. No, they don't want to spend the money because they want to bring the budget down on the movies so they can actually course correct some of these films, these overblown budgets. Again, something that you guys have been asking for. But here, they're broke. They're obviously broke. Even though they have like a $1 billion movie, the MCU has a $1 billion movie in theaters right now. They're absolutely broke.
Or because of the amount of movies that have bombed. But you could at least do better than this. Like, I'm saying, I saw actors saying that they'd like to be Cyclops I've never heard of before that look more like Cyclops than...
So we're back to this again. Back to how they look. Right. Okay.
This. But once again, they're going with people who are just anyone who has been a part of like a popular TV show. They're really favoring like Stranger Things.
So A-list actors from streaming shows. Yeah, sounds about right.
For examples. These aren't good castings of the characters so much.
You don't know that.
They're compromises for actors who aren't going to cost very much, but have been a part of shows that do have popularity. And it's not good. It's not a great situation.
Okay.
And
So you've talked about Sadie and you've talked about Kit. All this over that? I'm still trying to find where Marvel trashes old fans. I'm still waiting for that. We're 11 minutes into a 21-minute video, and I'm still waiting for that part of the video.
Saw again what happened with Fantastic Four, with all the MCU shills trying to defend the casting of that movie. Guess what? They were auraless when they got in their costumes, when they had their trailers. It evoked no strong reaction from audience members to go see the movie or ever watch it again if they did see it once. And that's how you get Kevin Feige admitting blatantly that his Fantastic Four, that he said was a completely new thing that they had never seen before, was a failure at only...
He didn't say that.
$514 million worldwide.
521.
Spider-Man is on its way to $2 billion worldwide. So
yes, and that's also a movie produced by Kevin Feige and Amy Pascal.
that's why it's astounding to me that he is going forward in this direction where, you know, here is the answer for Sadie Sink and Kit Connor not evoking the characters of Cyclops and Jean Grey from the comics at all.
Kit Connor based on what? How his round face?
Or any of these castings, they are doing entirely new versions of the characters.
Yep.
And the real idea behind this X-Men movie is the same thing, again, that Disney has done with all of their franchises.
Oh, okay.
They believe...
All of them, because they've got an 86% success rate in their film division. 86%. So the vast majority of their franchises have been successful. But go ahead, I'll let you cook.
Fervently that they need to abandon the original fan base in order to find new fans. That's what I've heard with this new X-Men movie over and over again, that Kevin Feige wants it to appeal to the youth. He's really trying to capture Gen Z with this casting.
Yeah, because you're not paying attention to the movies in box offices right now. Gen Z and millennials are driving the box office numbers. Boomers and Gen X, my generation, we're not spending as much money in theaters. It sucks. I would love to be part of that community that's really helping the box office, but we're not. My age demographic isn't spending money. Gen Z and millennials are the ones spending money. That's why we see a lot of the properties that resonate with that particular age group doing well in the box office. So he's for once now, he's actually looking at that specific metric.
Now, I am appreciative that X-Men fans, there's more X-Men fans out there than Fantastic Four fans, and so there is pushback against this. But someone says, Marvel really looked at the X-Men and said, let's just hire the cast of every Netflix...
I don't care what some random person on Twitter said. I don't care.
Netflix teen drama. We are literally getting Riverdale with superpowers.
Right. So the thing is that the X-Men are high schoolers going to school at the X Mansion with Professor X. So it quite literally is kids in school with superpowers. The X-Men are, if you go back and you look at if they're doing the OG cast or something like that, it is a drama with teenagers. If you go back and you read the original books. So this tweet is dumb. Even if you like this tweet. Let's hire the cast of every Netflix teen drama. Yeah, X-Men in the beginning, teen drama. And Riverdale with superpowers means like a school thing with superpowers. Yeah, that's what the X-Men are.
Yes, that's exactly what I feel like. That's exactly what I feel like. They are not caring about who the X-Men are, who their fan base is, and anything that they've ever been in the comics. Right. They are just using this for Hollywood's continuous desperation to capture Gen Z. That's why we're...
Yeah, they should ignore Gen Z. Why make anything for Gen Z? Why do that? It's a much better business decision to just ignore Gen Z and go after the population that isn't going out and spending money at movies. That's a much better business decision for Marvel. Totally agree with you.
Getting all of these various castings from these Netflix teen dramas to fill out the cast of the X-Men movies, because that's what they want to do. They're going to fill it up with darkness and teen angst. Sadie Sink said that all of the X-Men, what makes them special...
Yeah, the X-Men comics, classically known for no darkness and teen angst. Classically known for that.
She researches them is that they're all flawed and they've maybe done bad things and that they discover being heroes later, which could have been her meaning that some of the cast of the X-Men from the comics have had checkered past. But here's the thing, if she is referring to that as overall, all of them have done bad things in the past, that is literally not true.
And look, I'm not happy, again, with some of the way Jean Grey was portrayed in Spider-Man Brand New Day. Not happy about it.
Most of them, Cyclops, Jean Grey, Beast, Nightcrawler, Colossus, most of them do not have checkered pasts at all. They were the morally good group with some former villains who changed their ways.
Yes.
But anyway, again, obsession, pun intended, from Hollywood at this point, that Gen Z is like the main group who buys movie tickets.
They are.
And they really need to cater to that group. Even Spider-Man Brand New
Day.
They
are. Matter of fact, I'm going to look it up right now because I want the exact numbers. 87% of Gen Z surveyed reported going to a movie theater at least once in the past year. Only 58% of baby boomers were going to a movie once in the last year. Gen Z is considered frequent moviegoers, now average 6 to 7 theater visits annually. So that means at least half the year they're going to see one movie, with a 25% year-over-year increase in attendance frequency. Younger audiences account for a disproportionate share of ticket sales for IMAX and Dolby. They're driving higher per ticket box office revenue, specifically millennials and Gen Z. Yeah, so it makes sense to me that they would want Gen Z to be a focus on the business side.
Was trying to do that with Jean's overdone, overly edgy teen angst that led her to murder all these people. And Peter Parker, you know, his struggles with loneliness being recontextualized in a very Gen Z kind of way.
And you're saying they should just ignore the audience that's resonating with that. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of this portrayal of Jean Grey, but I don't think I'm in the majority on that.
Where he's just not reaching out, but he needs to. You know, that is very much 101 preaching to Gen Z and their inability to reach out these days. Yeah, Hollywood is desperately trying to reach out to Gen Z, and Marvel...
Desperately or strategically? Is it desperation when they're making movies that are doing billions of dollars in Gen Z and millennials? Is it desperation for them to go, hey, this is the audience that's spending money, so we're going to shift focus strategically to make more media for them because the other people are just watching our shit at home? Desperation would be trying to go after a community that isn't spending money, like the baby boomers, like changing things to appease old ass people to hold on to whatever relevancy they have in that space. That would be desperation. Going after the largest ticket drivers in the industry, that demographic, is strategic. That's not desperation.
Is doing it. They tried to do that with Thunderbolts by making it about mental health in the most shallow way possible. But here is the thing. With a movie like Obsession getting so much money from Gen Z, the reason why that movie captured Gen Z is because it was actually made by Gen Zers.
Spider-Man Brand New Day is about to make $2 billion. So your argument is that they shouldn't try to go after Gen Z, and you're using Spider-Man Brand New Day as an example. Financially and critically, both of those metrics have said the movie is good. Now, you don't have to like it because you don't have to just think and feel the same way everybody else does. But you argue that they shouldn't go after the audience that is spending the money in theaters right now is dumb as fuck. It is quite literally dumb as fuck to make that argument.
And I don't think that they were trying to force themselves to cater to Gen Z or anything. It was just a Gen Z director who was writing about something that he would find scary. And that really connected with Gen Z and their...
It doesn't matter. So the thing about it is here, you're arguing about the creative process versus like the material manifestation of success based on those things. So it's great that somebody who is making movies for Gen Z broke through and made a movie that resonated with Gen Z, and they're supporting that. But if a movie like Spider-Man Brand New Day is made for Gen Z, it doesn't matter technically behind the scenes who made the movie, as long as the movie is speaking to that demographic. That's a dumb criticism. Let's continue.
Paranoia over relationships. When the boomers in Hollywood do the how do you do fellow kids kind of thing and try to cater to Gen Zers, that's where it fails. And I don't think that Spider-Man Brand New Day did a bad job with it.
So wait, hold on. So just get rid of all the boomers then. Easy peasy, right? So you expect boomers in Hollywood to only make movies for boomers? That's your solution? That you have to be a part of a group to make entertainment for that group. Have you checked your analytics on YouTube? Have you only made sure that women in your age group are watching your content, or are you making content for other people, other groups, other communities? This is dumb. This is really dumb. Let's continue.
But Kevin Feige has not done a good job in trying to bring new viewers to
They
Marvel
just did it with
his
Spider-Man
attempts
Brand
to
New
do
Day.
New things.
They just did it.
Thunderbolts, mental health.
Why are we
movie,
going back to Thunderbolts? Spider-Man Brand New Day is out right now. Let's stay in our lane.
The biggest bomb of the box office in 2025 for Marvel. He cannot make Yelena Belova work no matter how much time he forces her. And again, Kevin Feige has admitted that Fantastic Four under his direction completely and utterly failed. But
he didn't say that. Again, sensationalizing a very benign quote from Kevin Feige.
Still, this idea that they need to abandon the original fan base in order to find a new fan base continues. And that's why they have it in their heads that No, they have to throw out Claremont's X-Men and what the traditional X-Men that we have never gotten on screen are. That's why we need to turn the X-Men into Riverdale with superpowers.
So here's my thing. I don't disagree. I would love to get, I can't believe I'm saying this, I would love to get a version like that on screen, and I am disappointed that we're not getting it, but I am no longer the target demographic. I'm a 50-year-old man. My demographic is not buying enough tickets in theaters to justify catering to my demographic. Quite literally, it's just not profitable. So sitting here and being upset and dwelling on the fact that they're making something that wasn't necessarily made for me is a waste of time, because I'm now judging it based on something that it's not. When it finally comes out and I get to see it, I will judge it based on what it is and what's in front of me, not on what I want it to be. That's not a good way to judge media.
Somebody said. But trying to throw out your old fan base in the pursuit of a new fan base has never worked. Like, what worked about Spider-Man Brand New Day is, after all these years, we finally get comic accurate Peter Parker that actually feels like Spider-Man. For some reason, though, with the success of that movie and the failure of something like Fantastic Four, there is no understanding or coming to terms with in like these producers.
They tried to make Fantastic Four for an age group that wasn't supporting the movie. Fantastic Four was classic in a way that was supposed to call back to the people that wanted to see that retro futuristic world that the Fantastic Four existed in. That's what they did it for, right? That's what they were aiming for. Guess what? It didn't get supported in a big enough way. The movie underperformed at the box office. It wasn't a bomb, but it definitely underperformed at the box office, right? So with Spider-Man Brand New Day, they went a different direction. They said, hey, we're going to make a movie that kind of speaks to the youth, while also maintaining the visual integrity of Spider-Man. So they did this twofold attack with Spider-Man Brand New Day that actually worked, which means with the X-Men, we'll probably get some visual cues from classic X-Men stuff, like, you know, whatever run they decide to go with, 90s, 80s, whatever. We'll get some visual cues from that, and then we'll get an updated story made for the storytelling for the Gen Z and the millennials. That's what we're going to get. That's just the reality of it.
Minds that, yeah, people do like the original versions of these characters because they're timeless. And I will speak for myself. I am Gen Z, and I found X-Men comics written decades before I was born, and I absolutely love them to the point where I bought like multiple omnibuses and have multiple boxes full of X-Men comics. Why?
Do you want like a gold sticker or something for that? Like, is that what you want? I'm glad you found love for those comics. That doesn't mean anything.
Because these stories are timeless. People behind the scenes in Hollywood don't understand that not everything needs to be reinvented. In fact, most of the
Well, it's a good thing this isn't everything. You got to be more specific. This isn't everything. We're talking about a time where you guys have complained and complained and complained about Marvel trying to do these things that's not working. They get Spider-Man Brand New Day. Regardless of whether or not I personally love every element of the movie, it connected, it's working, it's making money. This tells them that whatever decisions they're making, whatever is going on with them right now, is working, and they're going to follow through with it. It's really quite that simple.
I would say things don't need to be reinvented. Sometimes they just have to be rediscovered because we haven't seen an accurate version of the X-Men on screen done right ever in the movies, which is why the movies never did particularly well in the end of the day. The X-Men, whatever medium or era they've been in, have always reached their peak of popularity when you do what Chris Claremont did and made it the superhero soap opera. It was the #2 comic apart from Spider-Man.
A superhero soap opera drama about teenagers. Remember, the X-Men were young. The X-Men were young. So, like, you're just completely missing that.
In the 80s and 90s, in the 90s you had this cartoon that was more of a bridge version of...
By the way, I want to point out, if you were reading the X-Men in the 80s, leading up to the 90s, there's a lot of people that didn't like changes that were made to the X-Men in the 90s. Now, the comic book industry had a big boom in the 90s, and the X-Men were a big part of that. And so they participated in that by being the extreme versions of these characters. And therefore, they alienated a lot of the old fans. A lot of the old fans just completely moved on And so Marvel had a bunch of X-Men fans that felt disenfranchised, which is why we keep going back to that stuff in the comic books. They keep trying to bring things back. But the reality is, we're not going to get this. They're not trashing old fans. Matter of fact, I would say there's a generation of X-Men fans that don't even really watch the live action X-Men stuff in general. So they're not even checking for whatever Marvel is doing, right? So I've said before, I believe the generation of people that are going to go see the X-Men in the MCU are the ones that are watching like the cartoons and stuff like that from the 90s. Like that would be the generation. So like the transfer of comic book fans into the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been kind of shaky for a minute. I think the people that are going to see the X-Men are either fans of the X-Men movies previously, or they're fans of the X-Men cartoons. That is that transfer they want to make into their live action X-Men. And that's what we're going to get. But I am pretty much done listening to this. I had to chop this video up a lot. I do apologize. It is choppy here and there. But it's a lot of babbling, a lot of on and on and on. It's a 21-minute video. And the problem is she writes a script, but then she babbles and babbles and babbles and babbles. And we end up having to sit through a lot of it. So I chopped it up as best I could. Look, the cope continues, you guys. If you want to be a part of the channel over here and be bored like I am, hit subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, and let's have a little bit of fun. Take care. See you in the next video.